What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope all you're having a great day so far today. Um, Getting into this episode of GH, listen, somebody need to do something about this Elizabeth mess. Like, I don't know what the hell going on. If it's some voodoo, some ghosts, I don't know. But somebody need to call Ghostbusters or do something because this is now getting out of control. Listen, it's one thing when somebody takes your wedding ring and lock you in a room and shred up your dress and all that foolishness. But now whoever this stalker is, they're invading her home now. Her sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? Where she shares her home with her children. That is crossing the damn line in my book. Like whoever's doing this need their ass beat. Cause that's one thing I couldn't tolerate. Like you're not gonna come up in my household. That's what you're not gonna do. Thank God Dante got there and stuff. You know he's investigating this thing, but I don't know. It's like who the hell? In my opinion, everybody's a suspect. Finn, even though I know it's not him. The kids, all three, uno dos tres, they're all a suspect. Elizabeth herself is a suspect because she could have had a mental break for all we know. I don't know. She could be a suspect too. Betsy is definitely a suspect. I know some people were saying Scott. I mean, for shits and giggles, I'll put Scott on the suspect list, but I don't think it's him. It wouldn't make sense for it to be him. Um, But then again, I wouldn't put nothing past anybody. So Scott is definitely on the suspect list. But I mean, I don't know who's doing this mess. It could be either one of them. Betsy, definitely. I mean, Elizabeth made a strong case to Dante about why she thinks Betsy could have did this. For one, she popped up in town recently. And again, like I said yesterday, we don't know how long Betsy been in town. Also, she's following Elizabeth on social media and she knows about her new relationship and she did not look very pleased about it. When Elizabeth mentioned it to her at the hospital yesterday, she wasn't very happy. So she's definitely on my suspect list. Um Cameron, I will say I noticed something with him today. Like when he offered to stay home and stuff and Elizabeth said no, you need to go whatever, go back to school whatever. And Finn offered to stay. I saw a little look on his face. I don't know what to make of that look that Cameron had on his face when Finn offered to stay for a few days. I don't know, but I hope it ain't none of her kids doing this, but I wouldn't put none past them. I'm just saying. You never know. It could be some jealousy. And Finn has already put it out there a couple times that maybe possibly it could be her kids. And I think that might cause an issue between him and Liz. You know, because judging from the previews of tomorrow's episode, look like he's gonna bring it up again that it could possibly be one of her kids. And she this time around did not take exception to it. Like the tone of her voice sounded like she wasn't having it this time. Um, my whole thing is whoever brought that portrait in there, I'm thinking to myself, like, why isn't Dante dusting that shit for fingerprints? Like, whoever brought that portrait up in there, I'm pretty sure they probably wasn't smart enough to wear gloves when they hung it. So, I mean, you had to walk around with two hands on it, right? So, there's got to be some type of prints on it. Something. Check. Like, are y'all going to dust it? Um, and there was no forced entry into the house. There was none whatsoever. So, that means somebody had to have had a key, or maybe they're just good at picking locks. But somebody had to have had a key or something to get up in there undetected. So they need to figure this out because I'm like, this is like a storyline that's very interesting to me. And I'm glad that they're giving it to Elizabeth because this storyline is baffling me right now. Um, Cameron and Elizabeth were under the impression that that portrait that Franco painted of her, they were under the impression that it burned up in the studio. So now it's hanging up in her house. This storyline is really getting to me, like, because I'm dying to know who the hell is doing this. Like, we got a bunch of suspects, and it could be either one of them or it could be none of them. You know? Maybe it's just a ghost Franco playing tricks. Maybe it's Elizabeth mind playing tricks. Well, I'm not even going to say it's her mind playing tricks because somebody put that painting up in there. Like, you can't just look at it and say, oh, it's there, and then rub your eyes the next second and poof, it's gone. No, it's there. Somebody did it. So I don't know, but everybody's a suspect in my book. I don't know who doing it, but I'm intrigued. I'm interested in finding out who the hell this is. and it better be good. I'm telling you right now, because they got me hooked on this right now, and the payoff to this better be good. I'm just saying, because sometimes these shows they hook you in the beginning, they reel you in, and then when we get to that middle and that end, that's where they disappoint. I'm like, nope, I need goodness this time around. I don't want to be disappointed. Um, but yeah, this is gonna be good. So anyway, moving on from that, Drew, I'm gonna need him to be better at this because apparently, I guess Jax divested himself of his 50% of Aurora Media. So since he left town, I guess he's divested himself of all his Port Charles holdings, I suppose. Um, so Drew told Sam that he wants to get back into Aurora Media or whatever, but he didn't want to step on Michael's toes. I feel like a big part of him getting back into Aurora Media was because of Marshall. Because this whole plan that he has with Curtis to find out what Marshall's been up to. So, of course, he was like, oh, I'm coming up with some jazz thing or whatever, a jazz music division or whatever for Aurora. And he wanted Marshall to come work on it as a consultant or whatever. Marshall obviously saw right through all of this. And that's why I was like, Drew, you and Curtis got to do better. Y'all got to come up with a better approach because he saw this coming a mile away. You cannot underestimate a man like Marshall, and I feel like that's what Drew did in this scenario. He underestimated him. Because Marshall figured right off the bat that Drew was only trying to offer him a job as a favor to Curtis, and he was like, "Listen, I ain't no charity case." And then when Drew said, "Well, if you get hired, we're gonna have to do a background check, so I got some forms for you to fill out." Yeah, Marshall was like, "I'm good. I don't need this job. I'm good." He saw right through it. He was like, listen, I ain't filling out no paperwork. I ain't signing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. Because he know, like, listen, y'all not about to look into my background and dig up dirt and try to find out what I've been doing all these years. He said, it ain't going to happen, Captain. But yeah, Drew and Curtis needed to play that a little better than what they did. I'm just saying, he saw that shit coming a miles away. A million miles away. He saw it coming. So, anyway, Curtis really wants to know what the hell is going on with Marshall because he tried to like talk to Marshall a few times about it, and of course Marshall didn't want to talk, and he tried to partially let it go at first. But he made up a good point to Stella because he told Stella, like, listen, with Portia moving in with him and TJ and all that and the family he got in Port Charles, he does not want any blowback from whatever Marshall was up to back in the day. He doesn't want that coming back on his family. Stella sitting here keep talking about, oh, well, talk to him about it instead of sneaking around. He's trying to talk to him about it. This man ain't telling him nothing. What else can he do but sneak around and try to find out for himself? Like, what the hell does she expect? Honestly, I feel like we already know Stella knows way more than what she's talking about. And I think that's why she wasn't so happy about Curtis snooping around and stuff like that. Because if Stella's hands were completely clean and all this, she would definitely be urging Curtis to find out more about Marshall. Her reaction to all this would have been different if she didn't have a hand in none of it. Like, if her hands were completely clean, she would definitely be urging him to do something. Especially about the safety of their family. But the simple fact that she keeps trying to wean him off of this or warn him off of this or whatever by telling him, oh, don't go snooping around, just talk to him. Every time he tries to talk to the man, he clamps up and doesn't want to tell him anything. And basically tells him to mind his business. So what other options do Curtis have? He has no choice but to snoop. Like, Stella need to go ahead and just come clean about it and stop lying. Like, just tell this man everything he need to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't blame Curtis for wanting to know. I would want to know too. Definitely can't blame him for that. So anyway, moving on from that. I understand, Carly feels like a failure, for filing for divorce or whatever. She felt like she failed, but in my opinion, she did everything she could to save her marriage. What else could she do? It is what it is. Sonny didn't do a whole lot of fighting for this marriage, so plus you got the Nina aspect to it. So it was bound to happen. Divorce was the next option. I mean, what else are you going to do? But I love the fact that Olivia and Sam hung out with her. Like, we're seeing Carly hang out with more females because usually she's friends with the guys. that she's either dating or married to or whatever. So I'm glad that they're giving Carly some female friends this time around. And I love how they were just going out, having drinks and stuff. Carly's been getting loose lately. And then on top of that, her, Sam, and Olivia went axe throwing. I loved it. I freaking loved it. I said, yo, this is stuff that I love to see. You know what I mean? It's such a different vibe to Carly. She got some good girlfriends now that she hanging out with. I love seeing Carly loose like this. I freaking love it, and I'm here for it. Her and Sam are finally in a good place. I mean, they've been cordial over the years, but they were never in a place where they hung out and had drinks and stuff like that. Like, they were never like that. So it's cool to see them getting to that point. Um, and I totally understand where Olivia's coming from. Like, she feels like nothing good will come of Carly trying to get revenge on Nina. But we know how Carly is. Even though it may be good advice to let this vengeance against Nina go, we know how Carly is. Carly is not going to let it go. She's not. And honestly, I can't say that I blame her. I definitely can't blame Carly if she wants some little vengeance against her. You know? I can't fault Carly for it. So if she wants revenge, I say go get it. Even though Olivia feels like that shouldn't be her focus, but hey, sometimes you got to do it. Even though you got that little voice in your head saying, nah, it ain't worth it. Well, if she feels like it's worth it, you can't really talk her out of it. At the end of the day, you definitely can't. So anyway, moving on from that, I was so freaking happy when Chase pretty much rejected Michael's initial apology. He was giving it to Michael. Like, he was not backing down to him, and I love it. Because I feel like Michael definitely was apologizing to Chase to ease his own guilt about what him and Willow did when Willow was married to Chase. And I'm glad Chase called him out on it. He held him accountable. I was like, good. He called him basically selfish and self-righteous. I say because he is. Michael is definitely a self-righteous ass and sanctimonious. Definitely. So I was glad when Chase called him out and wasn't making it easy. But I was a little irritated when he tried to start making excuses and stuff. I said, Chase, don't go there, because you was just on my good side, and now you reverting back. Do not let him get off that easy. Absolutely not. Hold him accountable. I definitely feel like he should hold him accountable, because Michael thinks like a little apology is supposed to rectify everything. Sorry is not always enough, son. It's really not. You can't apologize your way out of everything. Sometimes you gotta sweat. What are you gonna do? You know what? That scene between Willow and Nina today, I loved it. I loved it. Because now, where Wiley is concerned, I feel like the battle lines were just drawn. The battle lines were definitely drawn. Willow let the claws out today. And she made it perfectly clear. At first, she made it perfectly clear to Michael. She does not want Wiley anywhere near Nina at this point. Michael was trying to be diplomatic about the situation for once. He was like, well, we got to think about what's best for Wiley. Willow, on the other hand, was like, listen, I'm thinking about what's best for him. I don't want him around her. And shockingly, because normally Michael is the one saying, well, I don't want her around, and Willow's the one playing peacekeeper. This time it seemed like the shoe was on the other foot. And Willow was just giving it to Nina, like about the whole Sonny situation and stuff like that. And Nina tried to clap back and was like, listen, what happened between me and Sonny pretty much was nobody's business. I think Nina is just at this point now where she feels like she's heard months of people coming at her. Like, she's dealt with this for months now. People, every time they see her, they lash out at her. They talk shit to her. I think she's finally at that point where she just really she's fed up with hearing it, and she's over it at this point. And she feels like what's done is done. I did what I did. I'm sorry. I've apologized to everybody 1,000,001 times. I'm done taking the brunt of everybody's insults. I'm like, listen, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, you can't expect these people to just not attack you verbally every time they see you. Like, what she did was predator-like. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you're still around him and you slept with him again, like, you slept with him, I ain't gonna say again, because it didn't happen the first time, but you know, this time around it happened, and it's like it's kind of predatory. But I can't fully put all the blame this time around on Nina. The Nixon Falls stuff, yeah, I can fully blame her for it. But this time around, it's her and Sonny because he's entertaining this right now. You know what I'm saying? But Willow was giving it to her, and Nina was trying to clap back at her. And once Willow made it clear that for the time being, you're not going to be seeing Wiley, Nina was like, you know what? I done had enough of this shit. Nina said, listen, that's my grandchild. I'm going to fight for his rights. I'm going to fight for the right to see my grandchild. Like, I'm done playing by you and Michael's rules. Now I'm going to take this to the courts. The battle lines have been drawn now. Because once this gets filed with the court and it goes to the court, it's gonna get messy. It's gonna get ugly. Because I feel like Nina is taking the gloves off now. She feels like she's sick and tired of constantly asking Michael and Willow to see her grandson, and they keep trying to block her from doing so. So she talking about, oh, I would never hurt him. I mean, Nina, like you were down near Nixon Falls for months playing house with Sonny. Even on Wiley's birthday, she was down there with Sonny. Wouldn't even come back to Port Charles to even be with him when Michael gave her access. Now all of a sudden you want to see him. You want to be around him all the time. Where was all this when you were in Nixon Falls though? I'm just saying. Um, but you know, the fight is about to go down. It's about to go down. We're probably going to see another courtroom battle at this point. Um, Cynthia Watros is killing it. I will say that. As much as I'm wishy-washy about Nina right now, Cynthia is giving it. And Cynthia was giving off that wackadoo, like that full-on crazy today that we really haven't fully seen since Michelle Stafford played the role. Because Michelle can play, she played crazy. And we've seen some of that in Cynthia's portrayal, but now I think we're starting to get it full on now. Like, because the woman is delusional. It ain't no question. Nina is delusional as all get out. But we're starting to see it. And Cynthia is bringing it, and I'm loving it. Cynthia is doing an amazing job. But anyway, that was pretty much the whole episode. Hit the comment section, let me know what you all thought, and I will see you all later. Have a great night. Peace.